The Ocean of Story, being C.H. Tawney's translation, Somadeva's Katha Sarit Sagara, narrated by Anita Saran. Chapter 2. Then Pushpadanta, wandering on the earth in the form of a man, was known by the name of Vararuchi and Katayayana. Having attained perfection in the sciences and having served Nanda as minister, being wearied out, he went once on a time to visit the shrine of Durga. And that goddess, being pleased with his austerities, ordered him in a dream to repair to the wilds of the Vindhya to behold Kanabhuti. And as he wandered about there in a waterless and savage wood, full of tigers and apes, he beheld a lofty Nyagrodha tree. And near it he saw, surrounded by hundreds of pisachas, that pisacha Kanabhuti, in stature like a sala tree. When Kanabhuti had seen him and respectfully clasped his feet, Katayayana, sitting down immediately, spake to him, "Thou art an observer of the good custom. How hast thou come into this state?" Having heard this, Kanabhuti said to Katyayana, who had shown affection towards him, "I know not of myself, but listen to what I heard from Shiva at Ujjayani, in the place where corpses are burnt. I proceed to tell it thee." The adorable god was asked by Durga, "Whence, my lord, comes thy delight in skulls and burning places?" He thereupon gave this answer: "Long ago, when all things had been destroyed at the end of a kalpa, the universe became water. I then cleft my thigh and let fall a drop of blood. That drop, falling into the water, turned into an egg. From thus sprang the Supreme Soul, the Disposer. From him proceeded nature, created by me for the purpose of further creation. And they created the other lords of created beings. And those in turn, the created beings, for which reason my beloved, the Supreme Soul, is called in the world the Grandfather. Having thus created the world, animate and inanimate, that spirit became arrogant. Thereupon I cut off his head. Then, through regret for what I had done, I undertook a difficult vow. So thus it comes to pass that I carry skulls in my hand and love the places where corpses are burned. Moreover, this world, resembling a skull, rests in my hand. For the two skull-shaped halves of the egg before mentioned are called heaven and earth." When Shiva had thus spoken, I, being full of curiosity, determined to listen. And Parvati again said to her husband, "After how long a time will that Pushpadanta return to us?" Hearing that, Maheshwara spoke to the goddess, pointing me out to her. "That Pisacha whom thou beholdest there was once a Yaksha, a servant of Kuvera, the god of wealth, and he had for a friend a Rakshasa named Tulhasiras. And the lord of wealth, perceiving that he associated with that evil one, banished him to the wilds of the Vindhya mountains. But his brother Dirghajanga fell at the feet of the god and humbly asked when the curse would end. Then the god of wealth said, 'After thy brother has heard the great tale from Pushpadanta, who has been born into this world in consequence of a curse, and after he has in turn told it to Malyavan, who, owing to a curse, has become a human being, he, together with those two Ganas, shall be released from the effects of the curse.' Such were the terms on which the god of wealth then ordained that Malyavan should obtain remission from his curse here below. And thou didst fix the same in the case of Pushpadanta. Recall it to mind, my beloved. When I heard the speech of Shiva, I came here overjoyed, knowing that the calamity of my curse would be terminated by the arrival of Pushpadanta. When Kanabhuti ceased after telling this story, that moment Vararuchi remembered his origin and exclaimed like one aroused from sleep, "I am that very Pushpadanta, hear that tale from me." Thereupon Katyayana related to him the 7 great tales in 700,000 verses. And then Kanabhuti said to him, "My lord, thou art an incarnation of Shiva. Who else knows this story? Through thy favour, that curse has almost left my body. Therefore, tell me thy own history from thy birth, thou mighty one. Sanctify me yet further, if the narrative may be revealed to such a one as I am." Then Vararuchi, to gratify Kanabhuti, who remained prostrate before him, told all his history from his birth at full length in the following words. Story of Vararuchi, his teacher Varsha, and his fellow pupils Vyadi and Indradatta. In the city of Kausambi there lived a Brahman called Somadatta, who also had the title of Agnisikha, and his wife was called Vasudatta. She was the daughter of a hermit and was born into the world in this position in consequence of a curse. And I was born by her to this excellent Brahman, also in consequence of a curse. Now, while I was still quite a child, my father died, but my mother continued to support me as I grew up by severe drudgery. Then one day, 2 Brahmins came to our house to stop a night exceedingly dusty with a long journey. And while they were staying in her house, there arose the noise of a tabor. Thereupon my mother said to me, sobbing, as she called to mind her husband, "There, my son, is your father's friend Bhavananda giving a dramatic entertainment?" I answered, "I will go and see it, and will exhibit the whole of it to you, with a recitation of all the speeches." On hearing that speech of mine, those Brahmins were astonished. But my mother said to them, "Come, my children, there is no doubt about the truth of what he says. This boy will remember by heart everything that he has heard once." Then they, in order to test me, recited to me a Pratik Sakhya. Immediately I repeated the whole in their presence. Then I went with the 2 Brahmins and saw that play, and when I came home, I went through the whole of it in front of my mother. Then one of the Brahmins, named Vyadi, having ascertained that I was able to recollect a thing on hearing it once, told with submissive reverence this tale to my mother. "Mother, in the city of Vetasa, there were 2 Brahman brothers, Devaswamin and Karambhaka, who loved one another very dearly. This Indradatta here is the son of one of them, and I am the son of the other, and my name is Vyadi. It came to pass that my father died. Owing to grief for his loss, the father of Indradatta went on a long journey, and then the hearts of our 2 mothers broke with grief. Thereupon, being orphans, though we had wealth, and desiring to acquire learning, we went to the southern region to supplicate the Lord Kartikeya. And while we were engaged in austerities there, the god gave us the following revelation in a dream. There is a city called Pataliputra, the capital of King Nanda, and in it there is a Brahman named Varsha, from whom ye shall learn all knowledge. Therefore go there." Then we went to that city, and when we made inquiries there, people said to us, "There is a blockhead of a Brahman in this town of the name of Varsha." Immediately we went on with minds in a state of suspense, and saw the house of Varsha in a miserable condition, made a very anthill by mice, dilapidated by the cracking of the walls, untidy, deprived of eaves, looking like the very birthplace of misery. Then, seeing Varsha plunged in meditation within the house, we approached his wife, who showed us all proper hospitality. Her body was emaciated and begrimed, her dress tattered and dirty. She looked like the incarnation of poverty, attracted thither by admiration for the Brahman's virtues. Bending humbly before her, we then told her our circumstances and the report of her husband's imbecility, which we heard in the city. She exclaimed, "My children, I am not ashamed to tell you the truth. Listen, I will relate the whole story." And then she, chaste lady, proceeded to tell us the tale which follows. There lived in this city an excellent Brahmin named Sankara Swamin, and he had two sons, my husband Varsha and Upavarsha. My husband was stupid and poor, and his younger brother was just the opposite. And Upavarsha appointed his own wife to manage his elder brother's house. Then, in the course of time, the rainy season came on, and at this time the women are in the habit of making a cake of flour mixed with molasses, of an unbecoming and disgusting shape, and giving it to any Brahmin who is thought to be a blockhead. And if they act thus, this cake is said to remove their discomfort caused by bathing in the cold season, and their exhaustion caused by bathing in the hot weather. But when it is given, Brahmins refuse to receive it, on the ground that the custom is a disgusting one. This cake was presented by my sister-in-law to my husband, together with a sacrificial fee. He received it and brought it home with him, and got a severe scolding from me. Then he began to be inwardly consumed with grief at his own stupidity, and went to worship the soul of the foot of the god Kartikeya. The god, pleased with his austerities, bestowed on him the knowledge of all the sciences, and gave him this order: "When thou findest a Brahmin who can recollect what he has heard only once, then thou mayest reveal these." Thereupon my husband returned home delighted, and when he had reached home, told the whole story to me. From that time forth, he has remained continually muttering prayers and meditating. So, find you someone who can remember anything after hearing it once, and bring him here. If you do that, you will both of you undoubtedly obtain all that you desire. Having heard this from the wife of Varsha, and having immediately given her 100 gold pieces to relieve her poverty, we went out of that city. Then we wandered through the earth, and could not find anywhere a person who could remember what he had only heard once. At last we arrived, tired out, at your house today, and have found here this boy, your son, who can recollect anything after once hearing it. Therefore, give him us, and let us go forth to acquire the commodity knowledge. Having heard the speech of Vyadi, my mother said with respect, "All this tallies completely. I repose confidence in your tale. For long ago, at the birth of this my only son, a distinct spiritual voice was heard from heaven. A boy has been born who shall be able to remember what he has heard once. He shall acquire knowledge from Varsha, and shall make the science of grammar famous in the world. And he shall be called Vararuchi by name, because whatever is excellent shall please him." Having uttered this, the voice ceased. Consequently, ever since this boy has grown big, I have been thinking day and night where that teacher of Varsha can be. And today I have been exceedingly gratified at hearing it from your mouth. Therefore, take him with you. What harm can there be in it? He is your brother. When they heard the speech of my mothers, those two, Vyadi and Indradatta, overflowing with joy, thought that night but a moment in length. Then Vyadi quickly gave his own wealth to my mother to provide a feast, and desiring that I should be qualified to read the Vedas, invested me with the Brahmanical thread. Then Vyadi and Indradatta took me, who managed by my own fortitude to control the excessive grief I felt at parting, while my mother, in taking leave of me, could with difficulty suppress her tears, and considering that the favour of Kartikeya towards them had now put forth blossom, set out rapidly from that city. Then in course of time we arrived at the house of the teacher Varsha. He too considered that I was the favour of Kartikeya arrived in bodily form. The next day he placed us in front of him, and sitting down in a consecrated spot, he began to recite the syllable Om with heavenly voice. Immediately the Vedas with the 6 supplementary sciences rushed into his mind, and then he began to teach them to us. Then I retained what the teacher told us after hearing it once, Vyadi after hearing it twice, and Indradatta after hearing it 3 times. Then the Brahmins of the city, hearing of a sudden that divine sound, came at once from all quarters with wonder stirring in their breasts to see what this new thing might be, and with their reverend mouths loud in his praises honoured Varsha with low bows. Then, beholding that wonderful miracle, not only Upavarsha, but all the citizens of Patliputra kept high festival. Moreover, the king Nanda of exalted fortune, seeing the power of the boon of the son of Shiva, was delighted and immediately filled the house of Varsha with wealth, showing him every mark of respect.